Hey there, I'm Scott Winfield, and welcome to Victorian Opera's 2021 Sneak Peeks. Over the coming weeks, ahead of Victorian Opera's season launch in late November, we'll be sharing just a few of the titles you can expect to see on our stages next year. We won't be telling you the who, how, where, or when, but most importantly, why. Our first guests are two extraordinary women, director Nancy Black and Victorian Opera's head of music, Phoebe Briggs. Nancy and Phoebe, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Scott.
It's lovely to be here.
And hi, Phoebe.
Hi, Nance. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Victorian Opera is reviving a production that the two of you collaborated on a couple of years back, and it's a real gem. What's the work?
It's Ottorino Respighi's retelling of that ancient beloved fairy tale, The Sleeping Beauty.
Or in Italian, La Bella
yes.
Dormente nel Bosco.
And
Beautiful.
it's an amazing work that he wrote 100 years ago for both puppets and singers. And we decided to bring them both on stage. And one sings and the other conveys all the nuances of what the singer is telling us.
Well, the singers, as Nancy just said, the singers and the puppets are both on stage. It was originally written for the singers to be in the pit and only the puppets to be seen. But Nancy has directed it in such a way that the singers are on the stage and often behind the puppets or next to the puppets, or in an area that you can tell that singer represents that puppet's voice, and the puppet is the one that's acting the character of the story.
One of the reasons why I did that was because I thought that I wanted the singers to be as though they were members of our community. They were people in a village, in a town, and they were telling each other this story. And the puppets were the embodiment of the story. And for some strange reason, it worked. People just loved it, and all of us loved it. And the puppets do something different than the singing. So they add little nuances. They do different things. They set up and they have a relationship with the singer that is very curious. It's not like anything I've ever seen before.
No.
The opera's so joyous and life-affirming and very, very funny. Where do you think it finds its magic?
Phoebe?
Well, purely musically, I think that Respighi was a master at jumping from style to style without being twee or, plagiarising. But he did have a nod to some composers along the way. So there's some Wagner with the King's March, and there's some Debussy with the Cakewalk. There's Mimi's Death Chords from La Bohème, Puccini. And there's the Gretchen am Spinnrad from Schubert. So it's all intertwined with this magical scene that he sets with the beautiful orchestration of the sultry and sort of, I don't know, you can feel like it's in the dusk or something, in this mood at the start of the show, that's suddenly interrupted by a chorus of frogs. So you get this sort of jump from the sublime to the very silly that brings humour in. He never lets it go too far that we're too bereft and thinking that there is no hope. There is always something that brings us out of it, and musically the style of it brings us out of it into a happy and hopeful ending.
Nancy, the opera celebrates 100 years since it was written in 2021 and finds extraordinary contemporary resonance. Could you talk about its significance and why?
Well, in 1921, Italy was crawling out of World War One and the devastation that had been wrought on the country then, had followed by an even more cruel Spanish flu. And Respighi wrote this work, I think, as a call to our resilience. It's a piece where this nation is told of an impending catastrophe, and all of them do everything they possibly can to prevent it happening, and they fail. And the catastrophe happens, and it's dreadful. And the country goes into lockdown. And they are told if they survive, if they go through this lockdown, that they will be able to come out again. And they do. And they come out into a changed world. And today, the world has been gripped by this dreadful, dreadful virus. We have all lost terribly. We've lost friends, we've lost jobs, we've lost any number of hopes and dreams. And we are in lockdown. And when we come out, we are hoping that we're going to be in a better place. And it will not be the same normal that we know. We don't know what that normal is going to be, but it will be different. And what Respighi gives you is a sense, he reminds you constantly, and partly it's through that music, partly it's because of the nuances that he builds into the opera, the joy, the grief, the laughter, and the love. And that is what he is reminding us, is that this old story is pertinent today. It was pertinent in 1921, and it is again today. And, there's Mr. Dollar Check is in the New World. He is a grotesque American capitalist.
And we may need to remind people that it was written in 1921.
It's bizarre how prophetic it is.
And very much written into the work. You hear those nods to Mr. Dolchek right through the music as well.
All the way through. And he fails. He fails miserably.
As the world returns slowly to live theatre, what do you think audiences will take away from experiencing Respighi's The Sleeping Beauty in 2021?
Oh, I think they'll take away the feeling of community that's been created on the stage, and also the shared experience of being back in an audience with other people, with musicians and singers and puppeteers on stage and people working backstage. It'll be a real bringing together of community, I feel, that it's, and they'll hopefully go away with a sense of hope and, joy for what we have now, what we've come through, and the future, what the future will hold. And as Nancy said, what is the new normal? Hopefully it's a better version than what we had before.
I think they will go away with a sense, with an ability to celebrate our strengths, to celebrate what is good about us, and to know that they can forge something different.
Yeah.
Phoebe, Nancy, we can't wait to see what you recreate on stage. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
To receive Victorian Opera's season 2021 announcement, make sure you subscribe to Victorian Opera's e-news via victorianopera.com.au. I'm Scott Winfield. Thanks for watching.